Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Super Anime Bros podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rosario, joined by my brother, Angelo. And today we're going to talk about something we love.
Welcome back, everybody. We're coming at you with our part 2 of the Your Lie in April
Let's
deep
go.
dive. So where did we leave off? I know we finished talking about like all the characters. We were about to talk about music.
Yeah, for sure. I think you had expressed that you were going to be really passionate about this and wanted to give it its fair shake of time, which I totally agree with. I think it's, obviously a core part of the show, so if you want to get rolling with that.
Yeah, before we do start, though.
Yeah, what do you got for us?
I have a little PSA.
Whoa, really?
Yes, the Super Anime Bros have dropped a new YouTube video.
Wow.
I know, it's our first in-person video, so I'm very excited about it.
Now that sounds like something I'd want to check out.
Yeah, you were actually pretty involved with it.
Oh, I might have been. I guess I forget.
But yeah, we tried a bunch of different like Japanese little treats.
Little treat, yeah.
So check that out. I think it was a lot of fun. I'd love to do more videos like that. So if that's something you guys like, please let us know.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was really awesome to be able to do. Putting it all together, I have to say I thought we were pretty funny, so hopefully you'll agree.
Yeah, when we were editing it, I thought we had some good zingers in there. So hopefully everybody else enjoys it as much as us.
We would love to continue doing it, and to be honest, we probably will, whether you like it or not. So
yeah, food's just good.
Hopefully you like it.
So, but yeah, so go check that out. But
yeah.
Back to the deep dive.
No, great plug. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to include
You're the plug
that.
guy, dude.
So where we left off was talking about the music. And this show, I feel like, is unique in that it has, like, for me, like 3 different groups of music.
Yeah, I think the way you have them listed out here, like, they're all separate but really incredible in their own right.
Yeah, so there's the opening and ending songs. There's the OST. And then, since, as it's a piano show, there's all these different famous classical songs that they perform throughout the series. And, like, all 3 of those, I mean, honestly, are so incredibly meaningful to me.
Yeah.
I figure we could talk about each a little bit.
Yeah, I think I agree.
So let's start off with the opening and endings.
Yeah.
There's 2 openings and 2 endings.
Yes. The first opening by Goose House, which also meta-ly is referenced in the first episode of the show, is pretty funny.
Yeah, the new hit by Goose House.
It's one of my favorite anime openings of all time.
I think it's still in my top 10. I don't know about you.
I'll have to look. Keep talking.
Yeah, so for me, it's a top 10. It's so good. It's not really like a piano-driven song, which kind of confused me at first. Whereas the second one is a much like more piano-driven song. But it's like, I don't know. I never have looked up like the lyrics and what it all means, but just going based on how I feel listening to it. It's just
based on the vibes.
Yeah, I'm a vibe guy,
Yeah, I do know.
It just is incredibly meaningful. It's a very passionate song, and I just really enjoy listening to it. It's just great vibes. Is it a top 10?
Number 7.
Yeah, so still
top 10.
in the top 10 for both of us. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's an incredible song. It's really powerful. It's sung by like a pretty big group of people that are in the band. So hearing all the different voices is really cool how they all come together. It's all around fantastic. And then the visuals to go along. I know we're talking about the music, but the visuals to go along with
that goes with it.
The opening are really stunning as well. Kind of paints a picture for the story and shows us a lot. I don't know if you remember, but way back in the day, there was a video by Mother's Basement breaking down the opening and like a lot of the visuals and all, and kind of seeing how much of the story is told just in that minute and a half. So I think that's really awesome as well.
Yeah. I forgot about that video. Was that the first one we watched by him?
It was definitely the first one that I showed you.
I think the first one we watched was the Gamers one. Didn't he? He did a Gamers
possible.
one.
He did do a Gamers one, which is awesome.
It was a very
Gamers
neat
exclamation point.
Yeah, we also watched. I found on YouTube like a video of them singing it live, which was really cool to see. Like because I didn't realize it really is a big band. I guess that's why they're a Goose House. There's so many geese. I'm sure there's an actual meaning, but it's a big band. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. The second opening, as I said, is like more. I feel like it almost fits the vibe of the show better with like the music instruments they use, because there's like I don't know if there's strings in it. I think there's strings. There's piano.
Yeah, there totally might be.
It's very good in its own right. I don't think it's nearly as good at all.
I agree. I definitely like the first one a lot better.
And the first one really does. It does still fit the show because like it's got like a big grand like
yeah,
core, like the hook is just so good.
yeah, I think it encapsulates it well. Musically, yeah, I wouldn't disagree that the second one is more kind of in line with the subject matter of the show, but I think both are great in their own right. That first one, that was just such an all-timer. I really would encourage anybody to go out and listen to. I mean, we're going to say the same thing with all of these songs. We encourge you to go out and listen to them.
But if you're gonna pick one, pick the opening song.
Yeah,
The first opening song.
agreed. How about the ending?
Honestly, man, I not exactly the same, but I do like the first ending better.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are very, I'd say, very emotional, and also very powerful songs. They're both kind of slower, but like both of them can like make me feel emotional just listening to them.
Yeah, I'm trying to like the first one's not on Spotify. So I've certainly listened to that one a lot less.
That might make me even like it more. It's elusive.
Interesting, yeah. It's all about
rare.
the chase. So I've definitely listened to the second one a lot more. And like in the context of the show and where you're at with the show and everything that's going on, I think it's really beautiful. It really is. Does it kind of make evident what's going to happen a little bit? I think
The
so.
second one, yes.
Yeah, I think so. But also, like, you kind of know that throughout the whole of the show. I think, the way this ends is somewhat clear. So for that to be encapsulated pretty beautifully in the second ending, I really, really enjoy. And the chorus, like, I can hear it in my head. It just hits really hard, especially going along with the visuals at that exact moment of, like, Cowdery floating in the air, kind of. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, for the second ending, they actually do after like the show ends, like the very very end, they have a special acoustic version of that song, and that one I really like. I have that on my playlist too.
Yeah.
Which I'd say is, I don't know if it's more powerful. The first ending though, which I'll probably talk about a little bit with the ending, but they play the first ending in the last episode, and that's probably for me the most powerful moment in the show.
Yeah, that we do like.
So for that
when there's a specific
really
song,
does elevate for me the first ending, and it elevates like the emotions I feel listening to it, if that makes sense.
I'm trying to remember how the first one goes.
I don't know, man. I would sing it for you, but
No,
it'd get
it's
us
okay.
demonetized.
It's okay. I'm sure you wouldn't sing it.
Also, we're not monetized, but
So true. You can still get it taken down, but
it's not even on Spotify.
I mean, fair actually now.
No, but it's very good. You'll know it.
Yeah, I'll
when
know
we
it.
listen to it
I'll
after.
know it.
You'll be like, oh,
That's that one. Yeah.
But yeah, 4 incredible songs. Very rarely does a show have like nothing that misses like that.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
4 bangers. I don't think I have like the second opening song on our like top whatever countdown of openings,
yeah,
but
we're at like 55 maybe.
I think if I gave it a couple more listens, I could do it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so
It's not always one that I'm gonna like jam to when I'm cruising around in the car, but like for what it is, it's very good and very meaningful.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
absolutely, I agree.
Interesting. So moving on now to like the original soundtrack.
I feel like this is your like
I
expertise.
I love the OST in this show so much. It's used so well to heighten moments, and some of the songs like they'll use multiple times, and like every time it hits. I will often, when I'm like reading something that I'm like really into, like most recently it was Blue Box, and like reading stuff as things progress, things get serious. Like I love listening to this whole soundtrack as my backing tunes to read. Just because it carries such weight out of the context of the show, and then also more so, obviously, inside the context of the show. All such beautiful pieces. My favorite one's entitled Friend A, which is, something you'll hear about in the show with being Friend A. But they're also good. Mostly like piano-based stuff, which makes sense given the show. But yeah, all incredible stuff. Do you have like a favorite? I don't know if you know them by name, but
I don't know.
that's fair.
Yeah, if I was prepared. Which one's Friend A?
Well, you'll know when I play it for you.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. There's a couple of them I really like. I don't listen to that soundtrack as much as you, but this is a show that's like the soundtrack stands out. There's so many shows where the soundtrack, it's good. Like, I very rarely hear like an anime, I'm like, wow, the music isn't good and it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But this one really does stand out and will make me want to listen to it outside of the show.
Yeah.
I have like a pretty nice soundtrack playlist where like some songs here and there will go, but never like the entire soundtrack like this has.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, it's very rare for something to be this good throughout, which is something we said about the openings, something we've said about the OST. And that's something I think we'll echo again with these piano pieces, which I defer to you.
Yeah, this is what you said about listening, or like reading manga, listening to.
So
the
to clear that up
soundtrack.
before we go, the playlist on this show has the OST and the piano pieces,
Oh, okay.
so it's both.
I have one that's just the piano pieces when I listen to manga, so it's just the
When
classical
you listen
stuff.
to manga, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. When I read manga. But now it's just evolved to my piano playlist, which is the Your Lie in April, all the piano songs from it, some of the soundtrack, and then just other random piano covers and like
It's good stuff.
different like pieces I have to study for my piano lessons that I'm like, all right, I like this song, listen to it again. But the songs that they chose, I'm not hugely like, I don't know classical music that well, but like the songs that they picked for the show are so incredible, every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show like made me like classical piano, made me like piano first of all, but we'll get into that more towards the end of the episode here. But like, yeah, all the pieces are powerful. The pieces that they pick for the characters are perfect for the moments, which I'll talk about some of my favorite moments. A lot of them revolve around these piano performances, but they just picked such excellent songs for it. It made me love Chopin as a composer, a composer I never even heard of. Like, I've heard of like Bach before Mozart, Beethoven,
Yeah, all the big hitters.
and then the other like standout songs, Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy.
Yeah, that's incredibly.
And that is one of my
song,
favorite
yeah.
scenes. We'll talk about that later, but that song is just one that is very meaningful to me because of this show. And like, even one of the years it was my #1 song on Spotify.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I don't
Yeah,
remember
the one
that.
year it
Must
was
have been
like
fucking a few years ago.
it was like 4 songs from Your Lie in April. 4 of these classical songs were in my top 5.
That's wild. Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, like 2 years ago maybe.
Yeah, I mean, when you were really getting into piano, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I really value all these songs.
Yeah,
so.
dude, I agree. Like, there's some great choices in there. Some that we already knew, a lot that we, got to learn. I would agree that this helped me appreciate some classical stuff a little bit more. I always kind of liked it. I never really listened to a ton of classical music, but I've certainly gained a few favorites from this. And I don't want to get into moments because I think you want to touch on that later with just like the moments specifically that the pieces are used in. But Winter Wind, the one.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask what your favorite one was.
That song. It's like Etude 25. I don't.
I can tell you, I have a guide pulled up.
Emmy performs that one, and like. Yeah.
Chopin's Etude, Opus 25, number 11.
Winter Wind.
Which he didn't name any of his songs. People just kind of came up with nicknames after.
It fits.
Which I thought was interesting.
Such an incredible song. Like, so powerful and emotional, and like really conveys, especially for Emmy in the moment that she's playing it, like gets her thoughts and feelings across, which we'll touch on a little bit more of the emotion in playing in a little bit here. But we talked a little bit about her last week and being a character who wants to like prove that her way of doing this is better and wants to beat Kosei for that reason. This being I think this was the first song that she played in the show. Really helped to solidify that character and motivation. And aside from that, I just think the song absolutely is fantastic.
Yeah, it's an emotional one.
I was gonna say like rips or cooks or one of the
No,
most
it's
slang
just because
terms.
it's classical doesn't
But I
mean
don't
it
want to
can't
say.
cook.
I just don't want to say like song riffs.
It does though,
No, without a doubt it does. But it's just it's a weird way to describe something like that. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I think for me, Claire de Lune's my favorite. That or the very last one that Kosei plays, which is Chopin's Ballade Number 1 in G minor, Opus 23. Really real short. It really rolls off the tongue.
It really does. I don't even know if I remember how that one goes.
It's like 9 minutes long. It's so good.
Gotcha.
That was in my top 5 the same year that Claire de Lune was. But
Nice.
Claire de Lune's my
Yeah,
favorite.
very nice.
I think that's good, yeah. No, because all the other like important moments for the music with me, I'll talk about during like favorite moments section
Gotcha.
or most powerful moments section.
All right. I think the next thing, like we have the next section headed as like meaningfulness. But a lot of what I wanted to talk about in this episode was the relationship that Kosei had with his mother, and then the relationship that Kosei had with Kaori. Kind of two sides. Wow, that dog barking real loud. I wonder if you guys can hear that. Interesting. Well, I mean, I certainly called it out, so we'll see.
Yeah, our neighbors have a very loud dog, so apologies if you hear that.
It's background noise.
Yeah.
I did lose my train of thought, though. No, so kind of like two sides of the same coin in like motivating and giving a reason for Kosei to play, if that makes sense. You see where I'm coming from there?
Yeah.
First, starting with his mom, because that's the first relationship he has with music. Like we said last week, his mom's friend had said, hey, like, Kosei has this innate talent. You got to teach him how to play piano. You know what I mean? And I think that she was hesitant probably at first, but when it was clear that he, had this ability, as like a little kid, just picks up exactly what she was playing. Like,
Yeah.
I guess there's really no other choice. And we don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like as we first see her teaching him and all, we don't see any of like the positive things.
No, we don't see any positives with Kosei's mom till later on in the show, till he really till like the performance where he overcomes it.
Yeah, which we have in here to talk about in a little bit. Originally, like, they show some scenes where she's in the hospital, she's sick. I think we touched on this last time. His mom was sick and passed away. And she said, like, I take a lot of medicine, but the best medicine for me is, like, seeing you play well. So he, being a little kid, takes this as, like...
Yeah,
I'm
completely literally.
Yeah, I'm going to play so good that I'm going to make my mom better. So that was a lot of his big motivation at first, which is really a shame. He doesn't quite understand.
Yeah, that's at the point where he, like, really lost his, like, sparkle in the way he played. He was no longer playing, like, just for fun and beautifully. It was when he became much more like a machine.
Yeah, much more robotic.
Because he was there, he was on a mission. He was in and out, didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
He was just there to try to help his mom.
Yeah.
Which is very honorable, especially for a little kid.
For a little guy like he was, yeah. And this, like, I think kind of began, in tandem with her increasingly worse condition, began where things got really bad in their relationship, leading to verbal and physical abuse, just her pushing him beyond the point that any child should be pushed, obviously. And a lot of that made him who he was when we first met him, at the beginning of the show. We meet him as, fairly timid now. Obviously, his love of the piano's long gone, or very deep and hidden away, I would say, rather. We meet the kid who can't hear his own notes when he plays. That all stemmed from this. And the last scene with him and his mom, like, really, really hurts. It's a really tough one to watch.
Yeah, because in that one you really do get to see some of her motivational. At the end of the day, what she was trying to do was teach him as much as she could because she ran out of, she was out of time. But, I feel like that motivation didn't really, for me, make her feel redeemed for the abuse that she put Kosei through. Like the one scene where she's hitting him, like that's That's rough.
Yeah, it is.
Regardless of whether she's dying or not, you know, there's no excuse for acting like that, especially not as an adult.
Yeah, to your child. Yeah, it's really tough. And like you see their final moments together. You know, she passed away shortly after this, after being hit and, you know, doing his very best out there, doing everything he can to make her better. And it's just nothing's working. She just keeps getting sicker and more, you know, upset, angry, fill in the blank. He says that he wishes she were dead. And he gets his wish. And that changed him, I would say, as it would anybody. And that's kind of how her ghost began to haunt him.
Yeah, during his next performance.
Yes. But just to circle back a little bit, as we, you know, got to see, like you said, some of her motivation, not knowing that she didn't have not a lot of time left. Jeez, words. She was really only able to teach him the notes on the page, teach him how to be robotic, teach him how to win, not teach him how to put the emotion into his song, how to make it his own.
Yeah, or even how to enjoy
yes.
piano.
Well, yeah, I think that comes from using your emotion, I would assume.
Yeah, and I mean, it's more strenuous training will make you like it less.
For sure, yeah, that's true with anything, huh? She wanted to leave behind a son who had the skill that was going to carry him on in life, which, yeah, I think is understandable in a lot of ways. It also was her dream that she kind of forced on him as a young kid, though. Like I said, it wasn't really her idea from the beginning to have him play.
Yeah.
So that's blurry there. But left with that ghost, you know, how does his next performance go?
Not great. Yeah, that's the first one where he does just completely break down on stage because he can't hear his notes anymore. And he's always thought that was like her way of haunting him, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really sad to see him have to grapple with that and carry that along. And he just has this painful, completely negative memory of his mother. He'll always look to the spot where she was supposed to sit and see her ghost, and that kind of spirals him from there. It really is tough.
Yeah.
But as we go along, you know, as the story progresses, and obviously Cowdery comes along and changes things for him, just to kind of close things out with his mom, then we'll get into Cowdery.
Mm-hmm.
He does eventually, you know, come to terms with all of this pain, this ghost of his mom. And I think he can kind of understand where she was coming from. Obviously, it's you know, there were still some horrible things that he can't look past, I would assume. But in coming to terms with things, we sort of see some of the past memories that were repressed of her giving him kind and meaningful lessons. I remember like the one scene she's likening, you know, being soft on the piano, treating it like it's a little baby, holding it softly like she once held him, which is really cute. He remembers like sleeping under the piano while she played. I think that was all beautiful stuff. And we can see that she wasn't always the way we saw her at the beginning. And he comes to remember that. I think that's really beautiful. You know, he's able to have good memories of his mom,
Mm-hmm.
you know, now that she's gone. And the last little note here I have before a little conclusion on the mom was Love Sorrow. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all here. Or you want to
Yeah. So that's the song that he ends up playing when he is able to overcome his disability to hear the notes. And yeah, that's a very powerful scene. One of the best performances in the show, I'd say, and certainly one of the most important. It's one that he ends up having to do solo last minute. So he's playing the song completely based on memory because he has to play a solo piano version rather than the accompaniment version he had been learning. Yeah. And so he's just playing that from memory because his mom used to always play that song to him. So it's a song that has had so much meaning for him with his mom. So it really adds to the moment.
Yeah, I really did think that was powerful. I think there's a line said about his mom always playing that for him so he could be okay with sadness and with
Yeah,
the bad
because there's
feelings and
another
all.
song that's called Love's Joy, so she always plays the Love Sorrow version so it won't seem as scary.
Which was really cool. It was really cool. Closing thoughts on like his mom. Obviously, as you've already stated, and as I'll echo, the abuse is not okay. There's no excuse. It's hard to watch, and it's a really sad truth for him. But I do think that they wrote his mom in a really interesting and well done way. You can understand. I mean, neither of us are parents, so we can't fully understand.
No.
But you can imagine how it would feel to be dying and knowing that you're going to be leaving this small child behind to fend for themselves. So wanting to leave him behind with something that would help carry him forward, a piece of her that would help him live on and have a life and not have to worry as much as he would. That all is really powerful. It sucks to see the way that it shone through. It was shown through. I don't know if that even makes sense. But they're all feelings that I think you can imagine and naturally can become to. Do things always go the direction of abuse with those such negative and desperate feelings? No. It sucks that they did. But I think they did a good job writing her and helping to then, show who Kosei is through his past experiences with his mom in that relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, just to wrap a little bow on it with Kosei, once he is able to overcome that, he does really, still carry the memories with his mom and carry her with him in a nicer way. So I think looking back on it, he really still can see her good side.
Yeah. No, I think that's really awesome. I mean, that's really, really well done. And for me, is a lot of where I drive the meaning in the show is the relationships like this, and then also his relationship with Carrie, the other main character.
Yeah.
She's pretty cool. Really changes things for him. It's made evident in their first performance together after begging him to perform with her.
Yeah, they mess with him a lot to get him.
Yeah, they do. And what finally makes him crack is one of the first really powerful moments in the show to me, I feel, is them on the roof. He's not going to this performance because he doesn't want to play piano. And she's there asking him one final time, and then she finally breaks down. And this was, I think, before we really understood how sick she was.
Yeah.
And she's crying to him and saying, like, you don't know how close I am to just losing heart, losing it all, giving up on everything, letting it, giving up and dying, essentially. And that's not what she wants to do. And he's really, I guess, the only one that can help her.
Yeah. Once he sees
this
that,
moment,
human side of her, because up until that point, she's just like her first performance, just 100% confident out there, does her own thing, don't care what anybody thinks. So seeing her human side, I guess he has some sympathy.
So that was a really cool moment. But after they play together, the performance, you want to talk about the performance a little bit together?
Yeah, their very first performance. Let me see, what's their song called? Something Rondo Capriccio.
Yeah.
What's the name?
I almost just spilled water all over my computer.
That would have been a problem. Introduction Rondo Capriccio. But yeah, their very first performance together, it starts off pretty standard. She's just playing normal. He's still can hear. Everything's going fine, and then she starts to get more like Allegro. She starts playing faster and more passionately, doing her thing. And he just kind of loses it, completely drags the performance down pretty much, well, in his eyes.
Yeah.
So he stops playing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. He just gives out done.
Well, he can't hear it.
No, I
he
understand.
realizes he thinks he's just dragging
Yeah.
her down, so he lets go. But then she gets him to. She stops playing too, which eliminates them from the competition. But the competition, the judges really just. Well, not the judge. The head judge just wants them to play exactly what's on the paper.
Yes, I mean,
he hates her. He hates him. So.
Yeah, it's what he was taught from the beginning, Kosei.
Yes, so they eventually do begin playing again, and Kaori's able to really get him to play from the heart. And even though he can't hear the music, he plays it with her, and they have an absolutely stunning performance. It's really an incredible moment. Like, the crowd's like cheering, which pisses off the judge again because it's like, it's not a rock concert. Like, it's just they really do inspire others. Their feelings reach others.
Yeah, I think really cool in there is like she two stops, obviously, which will eliminate them from the competition, which is the complete antithesis of what Kosei had been taught to do from the beginning. Like, we're here to win. That's it. This is a competition. I'm going to do this perfectly, and we're going to win. She stops and then continues, knowing like they're not going to get anything out of this.
Well,
in his eyes.
Yeah.
And yet, like you said, the crowd erupts, and she, shows him this is what it's all for. We're here to reach out to others, to make sure that we live on in their hearts, which isn't quite evident before we realize, maybe she's not going to be around forever, but living on in people's hearts is what helps her to keep going, to keep performing while she can, because even if she's not around forever, the memory of the performance she gave will be. Much like when she was a child and saw Kosei perform, like that reached her, lived on in her heart, and inspired her to be what she is now. So I think that's really cool. Right on from the first performance they do together, it shows a lot about her character and a lot about what she's going to help him see throughout the rest of the show, through their journey together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she shows him that he can pour his soul into music as they go along, pour his emotions into it. He's able to express his sadness, his pain, but also, eventually positive feelings as well through the music. Being musicians, playing the music and putting yourself into the music is how they continue, how they get through the hard times, like he's currently working to do, and how she has been doing as she's been sick. So really, really awesome there. Cool to see. I would say. She, in a similar way as his mom, like, knows she's not going to be around forever, but inadvertently, not necessarily as, directly as Kosei's mom wants to give him tools to succeed. Kaori does give Kosei tools to succeed in the future, but in a different way, and it's through that emotional playing that he finds his love again for the instrument and for music, and is able to express himself in a healthy way while still delivering incredible performances. Like, I don't want to say all this, he's playing emotionally, but then he sucks. No, like, it's incredible. It's not as he was once taught. It needs to be perfect for it to be good. I mean, I have a little bit more here, but I also do we want to just say how it ends, or do we want to?
I think we should leave that for the ending.
Okay, and we can let that go. If we
All
want to talk about more highlights.
Yes, we'll talk about more highlights. Which the only note I had are the piano pieces.
Hell yeah.
There's some really good highlights. We've mentioned like little parts of the little funny parts and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, especially coming from a musician's point of view, I really do love their performances.
Yeah.
And like I've said, they pick perfect songs for every point. We've talked about a couple. There's a couple more I want to talk about. You know what, really quick, let me talk about the other pianist, though, or the other two.
Yeah.
We talked about Emmy. You talked about her performance of Winter Wind, and it really does encapsulate her perfectly. I think she plays another song at the end, but that's like her big number. That performance is like its own episode, basically.
Yeah, it's really good.
And that's a really good one. For Takashi, his other rival, though, both songs he picks are like incredibly fast and technically like difficult. They're like really just like in your face, like I don't know, like a freight train. He's just powering through them, which I think really fits him as a pianist. He's not really like the slow emotional type, which I think is really cool because he's a technical player. But for Kosei, his very first solo performance, they do Chopin's Etude Opus 25 Number 5, which has the like title wrong note, and that one I think is such a perfect first song for him to pick because it's just a song. It sounds so dissonant. So real quick piano thing. That song, I don't know if you remember that one.
I do.
To play the notes in that, you're hitting two notes almost at the exact same time, like really quick.
Yeah.
And the first one's wrong. That's why it's called wrong note.
Yeah.
It just sounds wrong, and you're like landing on the right note after, which makes it like technically pretty hard to play, but not. It doesn't sound as like grand and cool as other ones. I just think that's such a cool first song for him to come back to, and one that like if you mess up the timing, it just sounds horrible.
Yeah, like that was kind of jarring at first, watching it the first time, and like here's this prodigy, and he's gonna play now finally, and it doesn't sound pleasing in the natural sense that a lot of these songs do.
But I think it's really one of my actual favorite piano songs for that reason, that it's like, you know, it's flawed. It's not like big and grand and beautiful. It's like Kosei at the time, like, you know, kind of broken, but you can still make something sound nice.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool and a really good choice for him for the first one. And then what's the second pick? Is the next time we see him perform, I guess, is Love Sorrow, which we talked about
Yeah, I think so.
we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that one. That's a big moment. And then the next like one you see him play, this isn't a performance one, but when he plays Claire de Lune is one of my other favorite moments. And this is a moment with Tsubaki, which there's not as many of those as there is with Kaori because she's not in their music world. But that one's really cool. She had just got dumped by her boyfriend. That whole part, like that whole arc with Tsubaki and her boyfriend, that made me cringe a lot.
Yeah,
the entire time they're dating, all she does is talk about Kosei.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's like kind of when she realized her feelings. But you know, the boyfriend breaks up with her because she just talks about some other dude the entire time.
Understandably so.
But it's like at nighttime, she sneaks. Well, I guess I don't know. She's going into school and she's just playing like a little melody on the piano in the music room because I guess she's heard it enough times she can pick some notes out. He's been playing piano next door to her forever, so. And then he comes in and sees her doing that and is like scooch over, and they're sitting on the piano bench together, and he's playing that song while she's like crying and just getting her feelings out, and I think that's a really cool moment. And she's like, "Are you gonna say anything?" And he's like, "No, but I'll listen."
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And then there's a part where she's like, "I don't care if you're here, so you can just go." And he says, "If you don't care if I'm here, I'll just stay." And that's something that they said to each other years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool moment, like, you know, calling back a lot of their memories growing up. So I think that's a really awesome scene with a really awesome song in the background and cool atmosphere. All right, what else do we got? Oh, they have the waltz from The Sleeping Beauty that he plays with Nagi. That's a really cool moment because that's when we really have seen Kosei evolve as a pianist again. Like, he shows no sign of faltering then because, you know, he's teaching a student. And it's cool to see, like, a piano duet, something we haven't seen up until that point in the show.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool moment, and he helps Nagi really shine. And that performance helps motivate Kaori to keep going with her treatment and rehab and all, so she can try to perform with Kosei one more time.
Yeah.
So that's a very important performance. And I think that's one of the more fun ones. And then, what else do we got? Oh, that's just another talk sheet. It's very similar to the other one.
It's a good
but then
tune,
the song at the end, I actually... because it ends. That song starts like the second to last episode. Like I said last week, I did not watch the last episode. I still have not watched it because I'm not going to watch it, which we will talk about later. But that performance at the end, that last song, is just an incredible roller coaster of a song. Because it like has parts where it's happy, it's sad, it's slow, it's fast, and it just like really encapsulates the show as a whole. And this performance is going on while Kaori is getting her surgery to try to get better. You know, it's an all or nothing gamble with her surgery while he's just playing his heart out for this performance. And there's
What was the context of the performance for him? Is it like a competition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
I don't remember.
a competition, yeah. But he's beat the hell at this point because of Kaori, but he's able to really give everything to this performance. And there's like a part where they get to eventually play together again for part of the song, which I guess, didn't happen for real, but that's a really cool moment. A very emotional moment too. And then, like, it's just, like, that song, the ending, is, like, his goodbye to Kaori. So it's a very powerful performance. Probably the most powerful in the show. But I did not watch the end. And I haven't watched it in a long time, and it still is, like, getting me choked up now just talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful one.
No, it is beautiful. It really is. It's the culmination of him playing for someone else, trying to reach someone else, using his emotions to guide him and letting that come through in his playing. I think, like you said, it's a good encapsulation of the whole show, and the progress that he's made, and the person that helped him bring color back to his world.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's it. I mean, that's the last performance we get to see in the series.
Yeah, at the very end.
Do you have any other like mismatch highlights? Something that we missed?
Nothing too crazy. I like a lot of the moments with Tsubaki, as you had kind of touched on one of there, when he's carrying her home after she hurt her foot, because he could tell that she hurt her foot, but nobody else could, and nobody else really paid attention, but he knew. And she's just crying, right? And he doesn't know why. Is that true?
When
He's carrying her.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he also carries Kaori, and I'm pretty sure she cries too.
Mm-hmm.
And he like comments on how light she is, and just not with saying it, but obviously how sick she is.
Yeah.
And then also like Tsubaki finally coming to terms with her feelings and saying them to Kosei, and like
that's a good moment.
Obviously he likes Kaori, but she's like she likes
that face that he makes though. It makes me chuckle when I see it.
Yeah.
Because Tsubaki says maybe you should just fall in love with me instead. Because, falling in love with Kaori has been pretty painful at that point.
Yeah.
And then, he just, has this completely oblivious face. So it's,
dumbfounded.
Really obvious that he had no clue. Which, to me, is crazy because at this point, she knew. So he was the only person on Earth that didn't know.
Yeah.
But, that's tough for her. But it's almost funny how dense Kosei is at times.
It is, yeah. But no, aside from that, I feel like we touched on moment-wise all the big ones. I think we can kind of close it out with the ending and everything and what we're left with. So to kind of finish up my thoughts before we get to the very end, Kaori, knowing that she wasn't going to be around forever, like I said, gave Kosei the tools to succeed, kind of in a different way than his mom. She really touched his life forever, even though she was only passing through. He will always carry with him their journey, always remember the time they spent together, which is something that she was worried about in one of the times she's out of the hospital, they sneak into the school at night, and that's something she asks him, are you gonna remember me? Will you forget me? Something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And obviously he won't. So it's pretty cool. it's interesting there. Like, she's confident the whole time in all their performances about reaching people and like people are gonna remember me, all this stuff. But then like to ask him, "Will you forget me?" It's like a moment of weakness, which she's often really good at hiding. Really, really good at hiding, for better or worse. And he's left pretty sad at the end, as anyone would be. But he has a healthy way to move forward with his music.
Yeah, and I think he'll continue to like carry her with him as a musician, kind of like he has with his mom. Because, like I said, in that very last performance, she plays with him, which I guess is like his imagination or like her ghost spirit, whatever. We do get to see their last performance, so I think that he'll always carry her and her violin playing with him.
Yeah, for sure. Even after she's gone, he's able to lift his head kind of high, in a better spot than he was before. His life left in color because of the journey he was able to go on. And the show kind of ends with a letter from Kaori to Kosei after she
I think it was like
on.
a while after.
Yeah, it could be like a couple months after or something.
I think, yeah. See, this is a small detail I don't remember because I didn't watch the last episode.
Well,
I think maybe he gets the letter from her parents or it's in his desk.
I think it's from her parents.
I think because yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a year after the show started because he says like another spring is coming without you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to touch on the letter that ends the show?
Yeah, so it's a the most powerful moment in the show, but she finally explains herself.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of stuff that just doesn't add up. We finally find out what the lie is, and the lie is that Kaori likes Watari was the lie. And that's, the reason why she did it is because she didn't want to hurt Tsubaki's feelings. She didn't want to go up to Tsubaki and be like, "Hey, can you introduce me to Kosei?"
Yeah, this guy.
Because even to her, somebody who had never really been part of that group, wasn't at school a lot, could figure that out.
Yeah.
Even though Kosei couldn't. So, she really did that to have the opportunity to spend all this time with Kosei. And that's when it's revealed that she had saw one of his early performances and was inspired and changed from a pianist to a violinist just so she could have the opportunity to play with him. So we really, a lot of loose ends are tied up. She starts just doing whatever she wants because she knows she doesn't have a lot of time left, like eating all kinds of sweets. She stops wearing glasses, and she just plays music the way she wants to because, she's on a limited timeline. So it's a very, very powerful moment there.
Yeah, I would agree. It's cool to have everything kind of tied up there at the end, all the reveals. I think in the letter is a cute little picture of them as kids and a picture of Kaori with Kosei kind of in the background.
Yeah, is Emmy in that picture too?
I think it's just...
Is it just
them
them
in
the...
them
Okay.
too, yeah.
Yeah, so it's revealed that, and then she also reveals...
Well, yeah, that's when we're like viewing the flashback that she was sitting next to him.
Yeah, and she reveals like the biggest thing that we've been waiting to hear is how she feels about Kosei, and she says in the letter, "I love you." And that's always the part where I start to cry.
Yeah, no, it's really tough.
And that's when they bust out the first ending song.
Yeah.
So that's why that one's very emotional for me.
No, that's powerful.
They get you, dude. That one, I've seen that shit get grown adults. Sorry for cursing.
You are a grown adult. No, it is really, really powerful. It is. She knew that she was just going to be passing through his life and didn't want to burden him anymore because he was already, in a terrible spot. So she kind of did what she felt was best, and that's how she leaves things. But I think that he, like we said, is never going to forget the time they had together, and is left a better person at the end. It's made evident that obviously he still has people around him that are going to support him. Tsubaki's in like the last couple moments saying that, she's not going to leave his side, stuff like that. So, it paints a hopeful future for our main character. Much more hopeful than before Cowrie came into his life. So that is the story. That is the story. Really, really incredible show.
Yeah, very powerful.
Um,
I mean, that shows like most of the reason why I picked up the piano from playing guitar.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I've been playing for years now, so that's really cool. And this show, I try to carry that with me when I play, like when I try to be expressive and reach people. I don't know if it's possible to do it on that level, but I definitely am a very expressive player because of this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It shows you the way. And it helps to bring out more of the beauty in the music.
Yeah, I agree.
Any final thoughts?
No, I think we covered it all.
Sounds good. So yeah, that's Your Lie in April.
Yeah.
Both of one of our favorites. Really, really incredible story. Highly recommend to anybody. Obviously, if you've listened this far and you have not seen it, we just spoiled a ton of stuff. But I still think it is very much so worth the watch for yourself.
Yeah, the ending's still going to hit you like a freight train, even if you know it.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please check out our new YouTube video. And
we gotta do a video eating ice cream now. I could use some.
I mean, I don't have any ice cream to eat, but
no, well, yeah,
it could be down the line.
Yeah,
Sweets are good, as Cowrie has taught us. Yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.